All right, everybody. So first of all, I'd like to start off, there's going to be some changes to the meeting logistics. I believe it was discussed, or several people know, Kirsten cannot make this time anymore just for some other reasons. So I'm going to take over sort of quarterbacking the meeting. So that's first thing. So sorry about that. I know Kirsten's a much nicer guy. But you know, I'll step up as best I can. Second thing, we would like to reduce the meeting time from 2 hours a week to 1 hour a week. It's already been 1 hour of actual quorum because of other conflicts, but we have some other things coming up as well. And since we've already gone through a lot of the initial discussions to get this thing moving, you know, we're suggesting and saying that we really only need 1 hour, and then we can kind of keep on point. And if a topic comes up that requires more time, we always have the freedom of creating a second meeting on those occasions. So any questions about that? All right, sounds good.
Fantastic.
Perfect. The third and final logistical thing is the Miro board we're using. This is, of course, we're using it because Kirsten loved it and loved working in it. I would like to recommend that we move this to a GitHub board. I know I'm really going to be the person usually in it, but putting it in GitHub is also a little bit more standard. Would anybody have a problem if I do that? I'll make sure to capture all of the information and transfer it over whenever I can get to that. Is there a concern with that?
I say whoever's cooking the soup gets to choose what pot to use.
I love that answer. All right.
And so Jeff, we'll just have to make sure your permissions are all right in the Antelope GitHub. But that, yep. So that's where you'll put it, right? Antelope GitHub. Perfect.
Yes, absolutely. All right, and just like that, we finished our first item for today. So let me go ahead and share the screen. All right, everybody, do you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry, it's doing some weird things on my computer here.
It's doing weird things in the projector too. I mean, we're seeing it. It's blowing up and then shrinking.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna.
It's because you're not running Linux.
Right, that's the problem. All right, so this one's done. All right, so we will jump into first. Let's go through the in progress stuff. We talked about the IBC governance item. Let me get this open. All right, so
that meeting is set now, right? For Monday, is that? Am I remembering correctly?
Sorry about that. I was having a little bit of a technical difficulty here. So I did gather everyone's availabilities, but we don't have any time slot as it stands where everyone is available. So I mean, I think Douglas, you're the you're the difficult one right now. Maybe we
isn't that always the way? I have availabilities. I just didn't have any. It's just of the ones you presented. That was my only availability. I have other availabilities, so maybe I can.
Okay, let's let me do another pass, and I can I'll do another poll like that, and we can try to find a time slot that works for everyone.
Okay.
All right. Next item. Antelope IBC sidechain model. Is this
that one we?
Sorry.
This is probably a separate discussion from the main IBC governance one, and that one I think is. I mean, we can definitely do it as a group call with all the chains, but it's also probably more flexible for to do a one-on-one as needed. So really up to you guys. I don't personally have a preference. It might be easier to coordinate separate calls with every chain representatives and essentially discuss the matter with them individually. So unless anyone object, that's probably what I would suggest. I can contact everyone separately and set individual meetings.
Yeah, please include me. I'd like to.
Absolutely.
That sounds good.
All right, got an action there. All right, developer onboarding and development workshops.
We did have a call a while back. I don't think there's been any progress on that front. I don't know on the ENF side if you guys have discussed it internally some more. But we're still I think there's still an agreement that it would be beneficial to have some sort of I guess like an onboarding structure. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's also other teams that are working on I guess like a core developer training program or something. So that might be of interest as well. But as it stands, I don't think we've reached any I guess like formal decision on the matter. I know the ENF team is quite busy with other things, so I don't want to put any pressure on you guys either. But yeah, it's essentially up to you guys as your resources become available.
I can give more context on this, and then maybe Ted could touch base with Guillaume offline for this.
We did. Guillaume,
okay.
Meeting with Guillaume. And I also have been working with OCI in building this training program. And they are now coming back with a proposal, which I'm waiting for them to give me as the next steps. And they have not scheduled that yet. Since I've met with Guillaume, I did have probably an hour-long call with OCI going into specifics. And from there, they decided they wanted to put together more of a package. We're talking about who pays for what and, just all the logistics behind it. And I wanted some ways of validating, like, do they have tests or certifications? I'd like it a little more formalized than the ad hoc plan they were coming up with. I was asking about learning management systems and stuff they probably had not thought about. I'm okay with it being ad hoc if it's good. But obviously I've built these things before, so my expectations were probably higher than theirs. But they owe a plan back to me, and I'm just waiting because we're probably going to proceed. And I offered to Guillaume that his staff can be included in that process as well, because I'd like our staff. We're hiring. We have some engineers we've made offers to recently that are just C++ programmers. They're not blockchain programmers yet. So we want to put those through, as well as the OCI staff that they would like to, put through the process and hire as well.
What is the level of priority in the greater sense? In other words, because I talked to Alice a bit, do you want me to prod her on this as well? Or do you think it's just handled in our normal flow?
I'm okay if you ask her about it. It's really up to John, and I don't know who John was working with. Oh, I do. His name is like CJ. So John and CJ, the practice lead, are working on crafting the proposal, because I asked a lot of questions. They're like, oh, you're not just going to be a pushover, huh? So they're now putting something in writing.
Okay. All right. Any other comments?
I expected them to schedule with me I had already expected to hear them ask for a slot on my calendar for that. So I'm shocked they have not asked for that yet. So I don't mind if you ping Alice.
Okay. All right. I'll take that as a note. Any other comments on this?
I guess one real quick is, what is the scope? that this is looking to entail? Because if it also goes into like client side stuff, then there may be some overlap and some good collaboration potentially with some of the work we're doing for the SDKs.
It's not. It's all for core protocol.
Like hiring.
It's for C++ core protocol level.
Got it.
It's not for like smart contract development. It's not for like SDK usage or any of that or client development. It's literally to help people like report to Bucky and REG to help on protocol stuff.
Awesome.
All right. Next item. Fashion finality, IBC approvers, champions, definition and status report, stand up.
So on that front, we still haven't completed the review process. We did have a call on Tuesday, so a little bit of work was done there on that front on the review process. So we're still essentially waiting for availability from AREG to complete the review. This being said, everything is going very well on the development side of things. We did deploy, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, on the IBC solution, the full-fledged IBC solution, which is milestone number 3 in the list on Jungle, 4, and Kylan networks. So this is working as we speak. We've done quite a bit of testing. It might have a few issues here and there, like we're still continuing testing, but so far everything looks good. We do have, I shared in the Telegram channel, I shared the URL of the reference UI. So that's a very minimalistic HTML plus JavaScript only reference UI to serve as a kind of, I guess, like a example for any developer that wants to integrate IBC into their dApps or into their websites or platforms or whatever. So it's essentially don't be too harsh on the styling and all of that, but it works for the purpose, and it's actually really simple. So I think it's gonna work very well for the intended purpose. Anyone that wants to give it a spin, try it out, is welcome to do so. So just have a look at the Coalition core channel, and you have the URL there. And we also published it, I think, in a few more public Telegram groups. So we'll definitely be gathering some feedback there. And I want to also reiterate, we're not stuck on anything just yet. So there's no immediate rush for the ENF to complete the review. We're still probably, I would think probably like 4 weeks before it becomes essentially a blocker that would affect our timeline. In the meanwhile, I did speak with AREG on Tuesday, and I agreed to provide him with a kind of written description of the various proof verification schemes and how they work, like precisely. That's going to also eventually makes its way into the official documentation for IBC, and that would probably also like help him complete that review process. That will essentially be probably a bit easier for him to go through the document first. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, so for the milestone 3 validation, you're essentially waiting for external, what are we calling them? The champions to approve them?
Yes, correct. We did also get the proposal from Sentinel to audit the smart contracts. So I mean, it's like as an external audit, it's definitely going to be useful, and will take us one step closer. But I think we can all agree that we want both the internal audit by the ENF and the external audit before we deploy this on the chain's main nets. So that's that external audit. As it stands, they estimate that they would complete it by the end of October or maybe early November at the worst case. So this is currently what we're looking at in terms of a timeline.
And just for reference, Sentinel has no I, so it's just T and L. Thank you. Yep.
I think I do that every time. I know doesn't have the A. I think they keep adding the I in. Thank you.
And that's just to finish on this. This is for milestone 2. Milestone 3 is actually complete. It kind of came. I was expecting we'd get the milestone 2 finished before 3, but milestone 3 is done. Milestone 2 is still to be approved.
All right, that's okay.
I will be with Sentinel. I will be with Sentinel in person November 9th, 10th, approximately. It coincides with Token 2049 in London. As for like a report launch date or marketing or anything like that, it could be cool that we actually do something while we're together, maybe. Just it seems to align with the dates that you have there.
Yeah, agreed.
Guillaume, did you have I believe you had a chance to meet with Adam to start laying out the resource plan as it specifically affected AREG.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Adam about it. Did you guys feel you got through that, or do you still have a little bit of work on that?
It's on my to-do list. I met with him, I think it was yesterday, and everything is clear. Like we agreed on the next steps, and I just have to do that, which I should be able to do by the end of the week, so tomorrow. And from there, essentially, he's going to have all the inputs that are required to recalculate the Gantt charts and essentially identify I guess like the pressure points on the timeline. So I think we're in good shape there.
All right.
The one thing that I would like to change, if possible, just on the last item. I think it was Douglas that started this conversation about the branding of faster finality. I would like us, and it would start here, we start labeling it as instant finality. If we change this for IF and we start discussing instant finality, I think it's a little bit more appropriate and it's much better representation of what it actually is. Is there anybody opposed to that?
No, I appreciate you moving that forward because I think it's much better branding for us. So I'd second that.
And
it's a great name.
I mean, we did our tech talk, Noam and myself and Kirsten, and we talked about absolute finality. I don't know if we want to also differentiate, faster.
Absolute finality, it feels wrong. Like
that feels dark.
I wince the minute I hear that. I'm like, I'm not sure I want to be associated with that. I don't know why.
To
can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It's kind of like you imagine.
Let's not go into what associations that probably pulls up for all of us.
Yeah.
So
I was just thinking if we're trying to like associate things to differentiate the fact that our finality is not probabilistic, whatever. It's not statistical.
Probabilistic, yeah.
Probabilistic.
I
don't know if there's a way
I
to
started talking about that. I totally agree. We need to make that point because we are comparing, part of my rant on, on this, my TED talk on this a couple of weeks ago was we're not even comparing apples to apples when we talk about the type of finality that that we offer versus the type of finality that that traditional blockchain technology offers. So I think we should, at the same time, figure out the right terms, not absolute finality. Figure out some kind of right term that even though that's totally correct technically, that fits that as well. And I think this helps us better shape our narrative for what we really offer as a differentiator, between Antelope and almost any other technology. So
we could use true finality and imply everybody else's false.
Okay. So there you go. I like that.
That would really piss everybody off because then, they by comparison would be false. And we could table this. I was just suggesting, in addition to, using the word instant, finding a way to highlight that it's not the same finality as
exactly. It's a associated, different but associated point that I think we should absolutely use instant finality, and I think we should offline in the chats maybe brainstorm something that works well for this true finality type, which is growing on me a lot. It may be irrevocable. I was saying irrevocability, which is, does not exactly, roll off the tongue, but maybe we'll irrevocable finality. That might be something. Anyway, let's take that offline, but I totally support that too.
Okay, but to be clear, here we're saying instant finality, correct?
Yeah,
Good.
and I don't know if we need to vote on this really or anything. We just need to, it's just kind of effectively the same.
I guess
thing.
I'm letting you know that I'm now going to refer it as instant finality. You guys can do whatever you want. I like what Douglas suggested. I think it's great, so I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I'm in as well.
I think it's a great branding. I think it explains quite a lot. It's easy to pronounce, whereas every other word that we've been saying for the last 2 minutes, nobody can say them in the first shot. Instant finality says everything to me, and I think it's great good. Branding. Yeah,
thank you. I've been just saying it for a little while, but it it doesn't resonate until more people do. So thanks, that's awesome.
All right, LEAP 3.1 system contract implementations, the vanilla contracts. Let's see, where do we leave this off? Discussion on main Telegram group, including REG. I'm trying to digest this to see where the action is.
Can you go back up? I just missed the title. Oh, it's done. It's finished.
Okay.
I believe we talked about that yesterday. It's all fully migrated. It's over. Jesse had brought this up. Jesse, can you confirm? I believe it is done, but can you confirm from your point of view, as far as you know, it is done as well, from what you intended when we brought that item up a few weeks back?
This is the domain?
No, this is for system contracts to basically leave 3.1 in the same state as, so we're good, right?
I haven't done a diff to see the difference between EOS and the reference ones, but I assume it's what we talked about, which was removing block one state vesting and one other thing, but.
Yeah, I believe it is done. So if it's not done and you notice in the next week and there's something missing, or let us know, but I believe it's complete as an item.
No, actually, I shared them with somebody yesterday that was on a call with me. They wanted to see the token contract to use the reference in the Antelope. So yeah.
Cool.
All right. Scalability plus Bluepaper. Let's see. Last week we talked, Zach asked a couple questions in the channel, was looking for some feedback on the proposal. Guillaume to share links to summary docs for instant finality, IBC with Zach. So first of all, Guillaume, did you share those summary docs with Zach?
I'm not sure which ones that's referring to. Are these the overviews that we wrote for the RFPs? I honestly don't remember.
So I think the way that Kirsten was doing this was he keeps adding to the list. So everything on top, basically RAM improvement schedule for next week. That's the latest item he added on this list.
Yeah.
So that one with send something, they've been like 4 months ago.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, so just look at the bolded.
Okay.
Yeah, so he bolds last week, and then if you add something this week, he typically would unbold and then bold the latest entry.
Got it. Okay. Well.
So translation in progress. So we'll need to in the Scalability Plus group, maybe make a note of just asking Zach where the translation is, because I'm guessing that that's the in progress. And then it says distribution will start ASAP. I think that's the last update. And I think he was, waiting for some graphs or whatever. But if you confirm with Zach, who's not here, should be able to get that offline.
All right.
And then the distribution, if I'm not mistaken, we had said that we would distribute it with the same branding type of guidelines that we had before, I believe, in order to keep kind of the general look and feel. But in the group, I think you can confirm that as well.
Okay. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not consistent.
Yeah.
Brand guidelines.
Yeah. If that's the route we wanted to go, I believe, which is what was discussed last week. And I think the 3 other members said, yes, let's do that. It's easier. Keep it simple.
Okay.
And we were we were waiting, I think, on the brand guidelines from Word, which I believe we've received now. I believe the majority of everything has been or is underway or is almost complete. So I think the idea was keep the formatting that the ENF had done for the other blue papers, but use the brand guidelines of Antelope, because this is the first Antelope blue paper.
Yeah, that is what I believe that's what we landed on. And yeah, everything's been delivered at this point. They're asking if we need business cards and things like that. And we're like, not so much. So the branding, I think, has been very successful and is now effectively wound down. At least where Word is concerned. No, we just have to execute.
Okay. Wallet SDK approvers, champions. All right, so contract.
I guess as an update there, the contract was signed. Let me just confirm, but I believe it was signed. I believe I sent it back. Yes, I did sign it. And we did create the account. So now the idea would be we would actually need to transfer the funds. So that would be on us to create an MSIG to transfer the funds, or anybody who wants to actually do the MSIG. That would be nice if we're not the ones doing it. Transfer the funds from the earmarked funds for the total amount for the SDKs from the current treasury to the newly created account, which replicates the current treasury, but with the owner as ENF. As EOSIO grants or the ENF semi-controlled account. That way, when milestones are reached, the coalition is the one that transfers funds, but we have that backup in case the coalition doesn't exist, and then we close that legal loophole.
If somebody sends me in the chat the relative or the relevant accounts and everything, I can make up the MSIG.
Aaron, would you be able to do that, please? Seeing as you're going to be the one that you'll direct which
receives it.
No, actually, no. He wouldn't be the one. Never mind. Right. But Aaron, you're aware of which account was created and such. Everything's already in the core chat, so you are all aware of this. But Aaron, would you be able to take that? Is that okay?
Yeah. Is it just giving the account name? Is that what we're talking about?
From the current treasury to the new account that you created specific to this.
Right. I'm happy to take it on. If you find it's just the same amount of work to make the MSIG as it is to collect the names and give them to me, then go ahead.
It would be to transfer over the full amount, which I think adds up to roughly $1.43 million from the current treasury, which is EOSIO plus.WG, to the newly created account specific for this contract, which Aaron is the one that you created. I just don't have it on the top of my head, like SDK wallet proposal or
client SDK.
We don't need to use meeting time for this. We can. This is a chat thing. Thank you.
Yep. But we still didn't close the loop on the champions, I guess, which is also part of that Miro card.
Yeah, I think what's most important is understanding who's going to validate the first milestone. And as we've talked before, we're picking champions for the whole project, and the champions need to think about if they're going to be the direct milestone or they take responsibility of finding a proxy.
If I'm not mistaken, actually it'll be milestone 2, because milestone 1, I believe, is payment upon signing of contract. I think I don't have the contract in front of me, but I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
So yes, for milestone. Yes. So yes. So we would still need people that validate that the work has been done and champion to the rest of the group. Correct.
Yeah. Quick question on this. As I recall, we were going to have individual milestones. We're going to have potentially different verifiers, validators, champions, whatever we're going to call it, because they may correspond with different people's domain expertise. Do the champions, are they the ones who sort of guide the overall process and are sometimes validators and are sometimes just working with others, or I don't quite fully understand the connection yet.
So one thing, Aaron, and so in this example, Aaron has met with Adam, and actually also for instant finality, Guillaume's met with Adam to create the status report that we talked about months ago that everybody liked that template. On that status report, you will see the summaries of the milestones with the projected dates. So everybody will see well in advance. One of the other things, though, that we want to do early on is identify like those validators for each milestone, again, at the beginning of the project so that people know it's coming. The one part that we had a little discussion on was, for simplicity, did we want to pick a couple people who would be champions and they would essentially be watching the whole project and they would determine who was appropriate to sign off on each milestone, right? And that made it simpler so we don't have to discuss every milestone in this meeting.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. So the champions are not necessarily the validators. They may be in some cases, but they are effectively doing some project oversight, project management on our side, client side project management, just to make sure that we're hitting all our milestones and doing our part of each one. Yes. That makes sense. Okay, so and they would effectively be the people managing the validators, just because just reminding them that something's coming up and this or that.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
So, who would we like to be our champions?
I would like to champion this. I think this is a really important one, and I want to know more about it. So I definitely want to be involved.
I would also raise my hand for that one.
And if it's an opportunity to kind of participate in the wallet stuff, I definitely have a lot of interest and opinions there. So
awesome.
Okay.
And the idea, just to make it clear to everybody, so the champions and the validators would recommend that yes, a milestone is done. Ultimately, the 4 chain leads that have signing authority over the account still need to make that decision and essentially sign, right? So it doesn't remove accountability from those ultimately who have to make the signature on chain. It's just, it gives them extra information from people to look towards as to whether or not they should be signing, but ultimately they still need to do their own checks and be comfortable because it's their signature on chain.
It's the same 3 people.
Yes,
yeah, well, people. Minus Lucas, but yes. Yes. Just because it happened to be this case, but just for future references, it could be different people, it'd be fine. Ultimately, it might not always be this case. And I believe it's not that case for instant finality and IBC.
Good.
Do we need to institute a swear jar for when people start saying EOSIO and faster finality to?
No, you just owe $1 in each jar.
Yeah.
All right. Secure smart contract library. The proposals are due tomorrow. So I don't think there's necessarily anything to say, although Why Not has officially opted out. Just, we'll see that. And the word that I'm understanding is that the 3 remaining ones, I believe, are in fact going to submit a unified proposal. Again, we don't have to get into this again this week. We talked about it last week. You can always say no, but they are doing that within the boundaries of what we have allowed in our current RFP process. So
I would also
that in and of itself
add,
is not a problem, right? In and of itself, combining to do it is not a problem. It may be much more synergistic and better. So we'll just have to figure out when we see the proposal.
Yep.
And I would like to add as well, Yes Nation reached out to us and asked us to participate as well in this RFP to write the documentation. So essentially, I would just abstain on voting if we are to participate.
Interesting. Okay.
Good to know. I look forward to tomorrow because we'll have to see it. All right. Any other questions on this? All right. Good. Documentation Antelope Workgroup.
I believe that one can be closed as well. Oh, no, never mind. No, that's the actual meeting that is supposed to occur. Aaron, did you guys actually settle on a date for a meeting? I think that's where it was at last week.
No, not that I'm aware of. Nathan was kind of driving that. Nathan James, that is. I know that we have multiples now. And we had a doodle, and the date ended up being on Labor Day, and then it didn't happen on Labor Day. So I'm not sure exactly where that was at.
I think it didn't happen on Labor Day, and last week when we did the update, Kirsten recognized that it basically that was going to happen on Labor Day, so that's why it didn't happen. And that's when that line of Kirsten will verify who'll take the lead going forward was written. I'm not sure if he did. I'm looking in the channel right now, and I don't think he did. So basically, that item is stale until somebody picks it up.
I'll reach out to Kirsten and figure out what's going on. I do want to emphasize, I met with him this morning. No, actually yesterday, and he said it's not like he's not working on Coalition. It's just this particular meeting. So I'll reach out to him and figure out what's going on with that. All right, reprioritization of top development. All right, let me give me a second to open another document. But while I'm doing this, I will also try to explain. So yesterday I met with Kirsten, a couple other people, and we kind of jotted some notes down. Let's see if you guys see this? It's just a simple step paper. Or are you guys still looking at the, okay. So we were talking about this because we wanted to kind of outline a process a little bit more straightforward. We talked at high level. The first thing we wrote down is we want to remember as we're discussing the rest of the steps, ultimately, we're going to do this every quarter, and we're trying to get to 3 or 4 items to RFPs, which means we don't want a process that starts with a list of like 50, because that just creates a lot of complexity. The other thing that we were discussing is we think the process I'll kind of go through, it will require the chains to do a little bit more prep work with their own communities, with their own priorities before they bring it in. And so what we want to do is, so we'll create a list of the existing items, and it's like 100+ items, if you guys recall. I mean, I think the core had like 50, 60 just by itself. And we'll send that out just so everybody can refresh your memory on like all the ideas that are in the blue papers, all the ideas that have previously been collected for ad hoc section. And then we'll also, as part of that list, remind you what the last prioritization, like here were the 20 we all voted last time, just so to refresh your memory. But then what we are recommending is each coalition chain selects 5 items to propose. These can be 5 items from that list. It can be 5 brand new items if you think these 5 brand new items are higher priority than everything on that list. But the responsibility will be, if you're submitting that idea as a candidate for prioritization, each chain would need to make sure it has at minimum a 1-page executive summary if it's not already in a blue paper. If it's already written in a blue paper, just reference it. We don't want to redo the work. I know we talked last time about, do we want 7, do we want 9 or 8? And we just started kind of doing the math on this. We're trying to get down to 3 and 4. So we want to put the hard work of first round priorities back on the chains. And then you show up and say, here's our 5, and we consolidate that into a list of at most 20, but it'll be likely there'll be some duplicates. So maybe it'll be between 15 and 20. And then from that list, instead of just rank ordering them, one of the things we also learned last time was rank order doesn't necessarily reflect the real prioritization weight. So you might think your first priority is more important than the other 4 you're adding combined. And so what we were suggesting is, what if we give each chain, we made up 20 prioritization points, and you can distribute those as you want to all of them. So you don't have to vote, you might only vote for 6 items and have the first one be like 10 points, and then 3 points and so forth. That, I think, accounts for all of your priorities combined. And then that gives us our final list. So that's, I think since E&F ran this in our spreadsheet last time, I think it's easy enough for, Eve and Ted. I know I'm kind of speaking out of turn, but I can manage that pretty easily, set up the spreadsheet, and then I'll just present that back if you guys like this process.
For me, I was laughing because I was going to propose pretty much exactly the same thing down to 20 points. It's uncanny. So yes, I think it's a great, way. I mean, we will, it's an experiment, right? We are not right now saying, okay, whatever gets the most points is what's going to win. That's going to inform our discussions on actual votes, right? But it seems like because we don't know how exactly it will come out, but I think it's a great way to go.
Other thoughts? Lucas, Jesse,
I'm good. Works for me.
I'm good as well. Looks.
I like the idea.
Good.
Yeah, it looks good for me too.
Perfect. The only thing that I want to ask then in terms of the next step is that those first 5 items, how soon do we want to hold ourselves accountable to get each chain to go off, talk to your communities, make your own thoughts on it? Is that a 2-week thing or a 3-week or a 1 week?
From today?
From today.
Today's the 15th. How about the 6th October? Or didn't we have a date in one of the cards, October 6th or October 13th?
Oops.
We go back to the Miro.
Yeah.
Which would be 3 weeks from today.
Yeah, 3 weeks. 4 weeks. That seems doable.
Yeah. And I think that's what we already had in there.
Yeah, 2 weeks seems tight. And in this, we are saying then that people outside of any of these chains, if they have priorities, that the way that they are to convey them is to the individual chain that they, or each of the chains, and say, hey, make their case to the chains, right? And they're not going to come in and there's not going to be some 5th group of sort of outside that we're making room for. That we're saying, if you got to persuade one of the chains or more to take up your cause. Is that the path? I mean, I think that's perfectly valid. Just wanted to make sure I understood the plan.
That works for me.
Okay. So any
So
town
in other
hall
words-
meetings or anything like that happens at the chain levels, and that's how we'll be. I think that's fine. All I care about is that we're open to ideas from outside. So perfect.
So
the expectation is that we would present existing set of priorities to our communities and then open it up for feedback, collect that feedback, and then come back with, if we deem any sort of projects that are worth presenting to this group that are not covered by existing list of prioritized items, then those need to be presented with like an executive summary to this group.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And each chain can have its own. Each chain can have its own. Whatever it's your process. We don't care about the mechanics about anybody else's. Our responsibilities are just to bring that list if we want our priorities to be considered.
Okay. I was having some technical difficulties. What date did you say? Did you say 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now?
3 weeks,
which is the October 6th.
Got it.
And could someone resend the link to the existing prioritization document in the channel so it's kind of easy to find?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll send something out tomorrow because I think it would be actually easier if I clean it up a little bit. The document's kind of gotten messy over the years, so I'll send it by tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Future process and resources for RFP creation. Oh, this is a budget line item.
That's
that
just
was actually
we just
voted, determined, and it's closed. We're good.
Yeah, we allocated that already.
Yep. Okay. Good. All right. In terms of the new agenda items, we have create standards for Antelope. We said we needed to start discussions on it, but I think we were kind of potentially pushing it. Do we want to put an action on to give somebody ownership of creating a work group on this? Is it too soon?
I don't have any bandwidth on this, unfortunately. I'm not opposed to it. I can't contribute any resources to this discussion right now.
If someone from TELOS was going to be involved, I would say Jesse would be the ideal person. And again, the point we have to do this because the point we discussed last week was we have no standards where what we do are going to create de facto standards, but we need to make sure that there's some intentionality behind that.
I would volunteer to participate, not to lead that effort, but I can help out.
So I would think the first thing we want to do is find a owner for this.
Yeah.
Or if nobody has the ability to be an owner, that almost answers the question in terms of, while it's important, we obviously have other things going on pushing this down. So does somebody want to be an owner on this?
I could try to help as an owner. I don't know if maybe we could delay it by a bit. I'm going out of town and have a handful of things that are going to have to take priority over, leading something like that. But maybe
we could also
a couple weeks and start, target early to mid-October to start the process.
Could we wait for an owner and maybe we'll have some changes that will, that might happen in a month or so or with the ENF, and maybe we'll at that time have a different opinion on having ownership of it? And we just delay this, put this in.
Yeah, I think if we have something where we have people who are interested, but no one is willing or able or whatever to take ownership at that time, I think the next step would be for all of us to go back to our organizations and say, hey, maybe there's somebody here who would be good for this role, but who hasn't been involved in these conversations. But ENF, you guys have a ton of people here. TELOS, we have fewer, others have fewer, and so maybe there's somebody. Maybe we can spread that around so you guys don't have to take everything.
I think if you put it in the parking lot for maybe a month, I think we will probably see a different response in a month, and then Jesse will be done with more stuff in a month, and maybe he'll be able to. So if we just park it for a little bit, I think that'd be best.
Yep. Turn that burner down to simmer on the soup we're making.
Core dev team has requested that we get Antelope Github org be verified like our.
I'll take care of that. Jesse and I have fixed we moved the DNS, and I've got the GitHub stuff, so I will do it. I just need to remember to do it. It's one of those things. It's not hard, just has to get on my list.
All right, we got 4 more minutes. We've gone through everything. I almost feel bad like calling the meeting early. Like Lucas doesn't even know what the end of these meetings are supposed to look like.
Are
we good?
Let's
good.
Let's use those 4 minutes effectively.
I like it.
Great meeting, guys.
Right, thanks, everybody.
That was very smooth.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.